That's good. Okay, so today's session, I haven't tested it, but I'm hoping that I will be able to share the recording. This is the recorded course that is in the market by itself for $497 American dollars, but I was able to have access to it through my other membership, and so there are two purposes for me. Show through showing this course to you, sharing this course. It's one for you to see what it takes to have a course. And I counted, it's only 35 or just under 40 minutes length in 5 chapters plus introduction. And the second thing is because it's the topic, it's a guide to feminine leadership from someone who has achieved quite a lot. This lady, Tracy Tudor, she is a real estate agent. However, she was trained as a actress, and she didn't follow through with the career. There was no opportunities as she saw it, so she moved into real estate, and then in the last 10 years or something, she was in a series on TV because that it's a quite famous real estate agency. So it's quite an achievement. So she talks about herself, the lesson learned, and we can share that. So with almost 20 years of experience, Tracy Tudor is one of the top agents at Douglas Elliman Beverly Hills. She has an undeniably strong presence and has a confidence that has propelled her into the rooms of some of the most powerful people in LA. So my goal for you is to learn the framework for how to strategize, lead, and execute with unapologetically ambitious power and confidence in your businesses. And something happened with this. Something happened, but it's basically about what we're going to learn, and I don't remember by heart, but it's about the frameworks for communication. It's how to lead your team into the action with the purpose and messages. And also the last part will be how to dress like a successful woman, which will be fun. I'm sorry, you haven't checked those slides. So these are the 5 chapters that we will be listening to. And the first one is finding your voice and success. And 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 here the question, maybe if you can do the screenshot for yourself, and I also sent you the workbook, the original workbook from the course, so you can work through the questions. But each part, I kind of put a question there. What do we want to what do we want to think about? So the first one is, how do you define what makes you feel successful? So let's listen to the first one. Stop share and share different one. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tracy Tudors.
Uh-oh.
Some of you may recognize me from the Bravo show $1 Million Listing, Los Angeles. I've been in real estate for 20 years and sold over $1 billion in luxury home real estate across LA. And I've teamed up with some of the biggest brands like the Four Seasons, the Amman, and some of the most unique hotels across the world. I've written a book titled Fear is Just a 4-Letter Word, and that's a no-nonsense guide to analyzing big egos, defecting power plays, and taking control of any room. I am so excited to have an opportunity to share my tips with you guys in this masterclass series to help all of you build your own successful businesses. Whether you're in real estate or not, we're going to be discussing topics like the following: how to think and act like a leader, even if you don't feel like one; communication skills to project confidence and manage your ego, how to position yourself as an expert and project authority in your personal brand, how to craft your day to take action on your goals, and how to lead a team and get people behind your message and purpose. Initially, I started my career in TV and film. I went to USC and studied theater, and I wanted to move to New York when I graduated. I ended up staying here because this is where TV pilots are shot, and I was hoping to catch my big break. I wasn't going anywhere, and I was falling a little bit flat, and I needed to kind of figure out and decide what I really wanted my career to be. I knew I wanted to make money. So while I was going to school, I was working at a few restaurants, and I also got my first taste of sales as an associate at a men's clothing store. After realizing that I didn't quite fit into any one label for Hollywood, I knew that I wanted to make a change. So I sat there and I thought about it. I talked to some of my friends that were already in the business, and I realized that real estate could be an interesting thing for me. I mean, candidly, it's not that difficult to get into. You take a test and, you could really graduate from high school and pass it. So I did. I took the test, and in my first year, I made about $30,000. I thought I was going to make 90, and the truth is I didn't. I interviewed for this position at this boutique brokerage called Dalton Brown and Long. And I sat there with the manager and told him that I was going to make $90,000 a year in my first year. And he thought that that was really ambitious because most agents make 30. I thought I was young and aggressive. And because I'd grown up in LA and I had all these contacts, that sure enough, I would get off to a great start. And of course, I could not have been more wrong. The truth is, no matter the relationships I have, I still had to work really hard and put in the time and the effort to get to know the market and really understand the idiosyncrasies. So do you want to know how much I actually made in my first year? $30,000. Exactly what he thought. In addition to knowing the inventory around the area, it's just not one element. You have to do more. You have to pick up the phone. Here's the deal. When agents come into the industry, they want immediately to have high profile clients. But the reality is you aren't going to win them all, especially when you're just starting out. You're new to the industry. And so what I always say, for every one listing you get, you're going to lose 5. And you have to be able to take that with a grain of salt and let it roll off your back. But you're going to also have to eventually take the leap of faith, and you have to be your authentic self in order to do that. But what does it mean to be authentic? It's not easy, but people tend to gravitate towards confidence and they're inspired by it. Remember, your competitors, potential clients, even your friends want to be around people that they aspire to be. That means you have to be fearless when it comes to putting yourself out there. I want you guys to create relationships where you add value so that when you are not in the room, they feel something is missing. Every part of who I am continues to be infused into the brand that I'm building, right? It can evolve and change, and it should, because in my opinion, you should be growing all the time. But being unapologetically yourself and creating real relationships in your life and business, in my opinion, is the first and foremost important step on that road. And at the end of the day, what does success mean to you? I mean, I think certain people define that differently. For me, success is having a great business, that I make enough money to live the life that I want to live with my friends, my kids, my boyfriend, etc. So for me, it includes vacations that I want to re-energize me. This could all be gone tomorrow, and I don't want to be the workaholic that doesn't embrace life. So that's what success really is for me. That means it's defined by a few different things that isn't necessarily wrapped around just work. So for you guys, you have to really question yourself. What does success mean to you? Please tell me and define it for yourself that it must include more than just work and money. Because if it's just based around that, I promise you will crash and burn and you won't be fulfilled. Not fully. So for me, that means success is defined by a few different things in my life, not just work. And that's what I really want all of you to understand. I've talked about the success I've had with not only real estate, but the TV show and the book. And that's all wonderful. But you guys need to figure out what it really means to you. So I want you guys to go to your workbooks, sit down, and really define what it is that makes you feel successful and wholly successful, not just monetarily. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
So what do you think, guys? Did you have ideas? I'm not sure how we should be taking it, because we might run out of time. But I want you to think what the question, the last question, what she said. Define what makes you feel successful. What is it that you want to create, and what's the life forward looking like? And so maybe at the end we share a few thoughts, each one of us. So now, let me share the next chapter. So the second one is about confidence and ego. She explains the difference and why it's important to think about this. And so at the end, you will see again, she will ask some questions, and she will be talking about her failures as well. And at the end, she said, when you go through this, so failure is really a lesson. And so we can then take the lesson forward by saying, okay, what did work, what didn't work, and what changes do I need to make moving forward. So that's kind of the message that I wanted you to think. But let's go and listen to this session.
So today we're going to be talking about ego versus confidence, which, in this business, and I'm sure with all of you, is a topic that means something different for everybody. For me, being in obviously a male dominated industry in real estate, where I'm surrounded by 5 egomaniacs on a TV show that I work with, it's very important that you can distinguish between the two. And ego is something that I really feel like can hurt you. And confidence is something that builds you up. And it is a very, very fine line. A little story about ego versus confidence. This year at our company, Josh Altman won the sort of #1 slot within the company for agent with the highest gross commission. Frederick did not win that spot and had pulled himself from the rankings because he has, a ton of team members. And so that sort of separated him from really being a valid competitor in that race for #1. What I find interesting as a sidebar to all of this is your value is created internally, not externally. But for some reason in our business, particularly within the confines of Douglas Elliman, we are clearly still paying attention to the ego there. And that external validation is very important for these real estate agents. What I want you guys to understand by me telling you this story is that the truth is, Frederick doesn't need that validation. He's a successful real estate agent, does a ton of business, millions of dollars in deals and gross commission income annually. But he let his ego get the best of him. And when you do that, you're just creating distance from yourself and from your level of success and your actual inner confidence. And so what I want to talk to you guys today is just that, because it is a very fine line between ego and confidence. And so many of us, as in this competitive world that we live in, are struck by that, because if you use your intuition correctly, you should be able to walk into a room full of male egos and your confidence should shine without them feeling subordinate, attacked, or you being perceived as bossy or bitchy. I think we're kind of past that at this point. If you're only driven by the ego, then you really don't understand what failure is about. And a really successful person that's been there and done that doesn't have ego. That makes it more interesting. I want you to have that kind of confidence, not the ego piece. So let's address how to address egos and discuss a few different coping mechanisms. It can take years of dealing with egos to get to that place, but it's important to learn how to trust your gut and confront someone that you know in your gut is going around you when they shouldn't. So things I want you to remember when you're confronting egos in power plays. #1, find a quiet place with absolutely no distractions. #2, If you're nervous about the confrontation, write down what it was specifically that you felt was the power play, and please use examples. Number 3, pick up the phone. Anytime you have the ability to pick up the phone and not text or email, do it. We've become too confrontational on text, and it just lacks tone and shouldn't be done. And number 4, finally, and most importantly, follow up in writing. Everything you do successfully should have that process. That includes confrontations with big egos, despite how uncomfortable it is. In this particular case, it's an exercise, and the more you practice, the better you become. Finally, let's discuss how to turn failure into a business lesson and the 3 steps you can take to get there. After a big loss, I allow myself pretty much a full day to be pissed. I vent and I make sure that I mention to my friends how pissed off I am. And I always take an appropriate person to do that with. A trusted confidant, more than likely a good friend that truly has your back and your best interest at heart, but also someone that clearly understands your weaknesses so that they know where to rein you in. They should understand a bit of your dark side, candidly. You all have someone like that in your life. Your best friend, your sister, your brother, your mom. I have this in spades. So I'm very particular who I vent to about specific things. I take it out of the office. I don't vent to a superior, and I don't vent to anyone under me because there's just no way for them to be objective. And sometimes your mom's not the best choice. I mean, she might be a bit of an empath, but you have to draw a line. So let me tell you a little story. There was a listing that I took that had been on the market for a year previously. That agent had shown it to probably a handful of 20 some odd people that didn't end up buying it. When I took the listing over, they submitted that list, and that's what's called an exclusion list. If they were to come in and buy that house during my time selling the property, then I would be excluded from getting a commission on that sale. Well, lo and behold, guess what happened? I put in probably 70 to 100 hours on this new listing. I relaunched it. I restaged it. I had numerous phone calls with the seller because they were that seller. And I ended up spending a ton of time up there showing the property to all around probably 50 or so odd people. After about 6 months and a very difficult listing period, one of the buyers came back from that exclusion list from the prior agent, and they made an offer. So that one exclusion came back and made an offer while we were trying to negotiate an offer of our own. That agent was calling the client directly, and the client was doing whatever they could do to elevate the offer from either party, playing the old agent against us. Ultimately, the old agent's buyer came up significantly, and the agent reduced their commission to put the deal together. So we had no options. It was a loss for us. So obviously, with that listing, I mean, I vented, and oh, did people hear about it. But, ultimately, you have to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what didn't work here? I mean, in the case of this particular listing, the old agent submitted their exclusion list, and when the agent knew that they were losing it, they asked the owner to show one more client. Sort of an on your way out kind of thing, and we allowed it, and we shouldn't have. Sometimes professional courtesy can bite you in the ass. Remember that. I recognize that I probably shouldn't have done that. So number 2, why didn't it work? What changes do I need to make for the future to avoid these types of things? Well, I know I need to be more particular about picking up new business from a client that has ended their relationship with a previous broker. I'll now ask for a buyer exclusion list upon executing our listing agreement and have a very clear discussion with my new client that moving forward and feeling good about this new relationship is important to me. Should the old agent have any questions moving forward, I would expect that my new client puts them in touch with me. Remember to ask yourself these 3 questions and be honest about your oversights or mistakes. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? And finally, what changes do I need to make for the future? So what I want you guys to do is think about an epic fail like I had, and I want you to go to your workbooks and answer those 3 questions. Be sincere, take it all in, and I'll see you next time.
I trust you have those questions written down, and you're going to think about this. It's very, very important to learn from the failure and ask the right questions. So yes. Oh,
so just ask. Are these questions in the 9 pages? Is that Is that the 9-page book they're talking about?
I send the workbook to all of you. So
And that was 9 pages.
It was 9 pages. This question should be that after each. So there are 5 pieces, and after each piece there will be those questions.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes. So the third part is build your lifestyle, build your brand. And it's so the things that I wanted you to think about is where could you speak up 3 times this week? So it's she'll be explaining about how you build your lifestyle, and that becomes your brand, your personal brand, and kind of where is the line between personal and business. It's probably not very strong line. So that's your brand. And so being, speaking up, sharing your voice, it's very important on that journey. So that she will be talking about that. Oh, sorry.
Authenticity in everything is business. I mean, you can smell bullshit a mile away in what I do, likely in what you do too. So today I want to talk to you all about how the actions you take, your lifestyle, are both an extension of your brand, and how to think more purposefully about your brand, which then opens you up and your business for new opportunities. So the first point to owning your business, number 1, build a lifestyle that supports your business. Working as an agent in LA, I mean, I live the lifestyle, the cars and the homes and the travel, because it actually supports what I do for a living, which is selling high-end expensive real estate. So your life and business must align with your brand and your clientele in this business. It is the most authentic way to earn people's trust without actually doing anything other than what comes naturally to you. So the car that I drive, the house that I own, how I dress, all of these things feed and basically support what my brand is and what I sell and ultimately what I do. But there are a few points or parameters to keep you in mind with how to build your lifestyle. Number 1, it has to be on brand. If your brand is about natural and homegrown, for example, then you're going to embrace what's really homespun. Number 2, it has to feel authentic to you. It has to be a natural extension of what you do versus something that you're forcing. If you don't love to travel, then that won't be a part of your lifestyle and then will not educate your brand. Number 3, it has to be something that gets you actually excited each and every day. I have a story. I met a woman in St. Bart's once, big shock. I was at Nikki Beach having a long lunch and some rosé, and everyone was thoroughly enjoying themselves. I was dancing at my table. Everybody was up having a blast, and I made contact with this woman, and we started a full-on dance-off. I mean, you might be thinking in this moment where business might be the last thing on my mind, but you would be absolutely wrong. We're having this hilarious exchange from across the room, and she was a hot riot. And by the end of the song, she came over to my table, no idea who I was, which was even more brilliant, and said, I had to meet my new best friend / arch nemesis. And we got to talking and exchanged numbers. And she reached out to me about a week or so later, asking me to help her in-laws who were considering a purchase in the $20 million range in Laguna Beach. I spoke to them on Monday. Lesson there. You're always one dance competition away from a potential client. Because I took that trip, the potential commission earned was about $500,000. The trip cost was priceless, and the additional connections and relationships created are equally priceless. So my strength is obviously meeting people and networking. So 3 questions I think you should ask yourself. Number 1, what are your strengths? Number 2, where do you want to end up? Number 3, is where you live, where you want to do business, and does it get you to question number 2? If not, you need to figure out where you are going and your plan to get there. Then, once you have your lifestyle dialed in, it becomes, what are the new opportunities you see with your brand? Because I'm authentically living a lifestyle that does support my brand, new opportunities pop up all the time. Here's a few of my own examples. Travel. I love to travel. I'm doing it anyway. I may as well do it the right way because it only promotes my business and furthers my brand. So being a brand ambassador for luxury brands like Costas Palmas or the Royal Atlantis or the Aman, I get to experience something fabulous for free that would otherwise cost me a fortune. And in turn, I'm able to align my brand next to the likes of the Four Seasons and Aman. Not so bad. For me, fitness. With my workouts, I'm starting to get offers from different brands that want to be sponsors because I organically happen to be into fitness and wellness. Now, it wasn't really a manufactured thing that I started doing. It was something that came from me innately because I wanted to be healthy and I chose to just do it really well. Now, once you've built your brand, you may be asking how you can separate yourself from the competition. In my opinion, it comes down to two pieces. Number one is developing incredible relationships, and number two is trusting your gut. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can make an impact right now and transform listing appointments, a close rate, a business meeting, and really solidify your place in the top 10% of whatever business you're in. First and foremost, build incredible relationships. How do you do this? Well, you read the room and you win your clients over immediately. I'm working right now on a $17 million sale, and one of the listing agents I'm working with does about $750 million a year in sales and might even be in the top 1% of the country. So my buyer wanted a third showing, and they just wanted to go back one more time. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, and my clients had no problem with that because they know I'd seen it twice before. But then they said to me, can you make sure that the broker isn't there because he just talks us to death and goes on and he oversells the house? Well, it just goes to show, even the most successful broker can have problems connecting with a buyer. In order to read the room, you need to know who's going to be in there first. So let's assume you're going in on any pitch. You have to do your diligence, right? You have to know the players. Sometimes the quietest person in the room might be the person that is the decision maker. Get on Google, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Figure out as much as you possibly can about the people that you're going to be meeting with. I like to call it, what are the 3 Ps? Okay, the 3 Ps. Personality. So for example, there are certain people where you know their personality is big. You read it the second you meet them. I'm one of those people. In my book, Fear is Just a 4-letter word, for example, I talk about different big personalities that you can connect with. There's the powerful type, the distracted one, the insane creative, the true collaborator. So the better you know who is in the room, the better you can manage them and the deal. Second, passions. Find ways to connect with that person that you're meeting with. For example, you both play golf. Maybe they're into expensive cars. Do your research and know what their likes and dislikes are. And finally, perspective. Pay attention to what they post. Know their views on their core issues. You have to understand how they look at the world and how they perceive it in order for you to understand them fully. Now you're in the room, so it's time to listen at this point. It's about figuring out where they are today. Listen closely, and I promise you will hear what you need. You want to figure out what mood they are in right now. Let's see. Are they focused? Are they agitated? Are they tired from the weekend? Are they distracted? I mean, or worst case, apathetic. It is in this exact moment that you have to figure out whether you're going to push this person or pivot. Now, that's a skill set in and of itself. Here's some examples of things I believe you can do to pivot the conversation. For me, if I get thrown off by a comparable or any statistic that may have been thrown at me, I shift the focus by stating that I'm going to go ahead and send you a new comparable market analysis or this new statistic now that I've been able to meet you in person. If someone's agitated, try to pivot them towards something that you know brings them joy. Compliment them about their hair, a job promotion, their child, or their animal. If someone's tired or distracted, you can pivot by asking them pointed questions. For me, it's always going to be about the property. For them, it might be something else, but it gives them the opportunity to answer and expand. Then there's a final piece to all of this, you guys. Trust your gut. It sounds simple. We all have intuition, but how often do you really speak it? I mean, that's really what separates the 90% from the 10%. Whenever I get the opportunity to speak up, I trust my gut. Now, you're taught not to trust your gut. You're taught to sit and listen and respond accordingly. You're taught to do as you're told. I mean, this is something that is inside all of us from the time that we were born. So whether you've been in business for 5 years or 30 years, you have habits. And you may need to work on breaking some of those habits and starting to trust your gut more and more every day. How do you really get started and when? I mean, the answer is start today, and I would practice on small stuff. Speak up in a room full of people that have never heard you raise your voice before, or raise your hand in a meeting and ask a benign question. You can also practice by using your voice in a social setting, by making a toast at a birthday or a dinner. Prepare for it, obviously, and have a few bullet points written down in case you get nervous, but just go for it. The other is to just say no when you want to. This is a hard one, right? Let's use a good friend who called to invite you to dinner and you don't want to go. Say it in the moment and your reason why. Don't be the passive one that says, let me look at my calendar. I might be able to swing it. AKA, I'm going to get back to you in a couple hours and tell you that I have a late meeting, but you wish you could make it. You know, I took a swing the other day that warrants a share. I was speaking to a listing agent who was trying to educate me on how to talk about comps and value to my client that was considering writing an offer on this property. I mean, it was an attempt to be helpful, but he was super overbearing about it and abrasive. And you might say that it didn't really land with me. So I retaliated with, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. Please don't educate me on how to be a broker. I got it. It was a little abrasive of myself as well, but I could have been more receptive, but it's just not what I was feeling at that moment. And I decided to honor it. So for you guys, the more you use your voice and the more comfortable and confident you get in the rooms that matter, that is what will propel the confidence in you to get you to the top 10%. So where are you going to speak up? I want you all to think about it. Go to your notebooks, and I don't care if it's a toast. I don't care if you are going into a business meeting and you're going to ask a question that means something, but no matter what, make sure this week that you do it 3 times.
Barbara back. We lost Barbara for a while. Good ideas from that. Yes, I think so too. I really like that. So, we still have a couple. So one is 7 minutes and the other one is 4 minutes. And I'll just move to the next one. And the next one is put your money where your manifestation is. And so she's talking about, you know, just how to build the confidence, and she will explain how she, you know, what kind of habits she has to help her to really create good day. And it's about structuring that day. So it's about visualization and how to structure the day, and how to take action. And if you have a team behind you, how to engage everyone. So without further ado, I will start off. And sure.
By this point, what you might be thinking is, okay, Tracy, but how do you put this all together? What is the step-by-step behind how you built your business and your life? I want to give you the true unstoppable confidence to build your dream businesses and on your terms. So in this video, you and I are going to talk about how to set up your day to dominate. This is really about getting the help you need in your business, as well as establishing a structure and a schedule for you and your team to conquer action items and actually keep things moving along. I don't want this to feel like another bullshit motivational talk that doesn't spell out any of the tangible steps on how to get you there. But if people are going to sit and listen to me drone on for an hour, I want you to at least get some good takeaways from it. If you want to set up your day to dominate, you have to have structure. That doesn't come as natural to some of us as it does for others. Structure is learned, people, not gifted. So it's an attainable talent that is the very first step in understanding how to be effective. I really want you to get there with me so that you can be productive and drive your businesses forward. Today, I'm going to walk you through 3 steps I go through every day to set up my day for domination. Step 1, visualize the day. Step 2, structure the day. Step 3, divide and conquer the day. So step 1, visualize. If you go about your day and you don't have something guiding you, you're never going to be able to scale it. And that's what everybody talks about, right? But when does it start? You just need to be as invested in managing your own calendar and time so that you can visualize and tweak everything the night before. I believe in setting goals for the year. Then I break them down. I say maybe my annual goal this year is to sell 500 million. If you have a team, goal for the team, great. Then break it down by quarter. This will help you dictate your schedule, even if you have a deficit by quarter 2. Then you're going to put out more content. Perhaps you're going to take more meetings. I schedule everything. That means down to the minute. And the people that know me know that it's color-coded. And whoever needs to know my schedule, from my kids, my nanny, my team members, my boyfriend, they're all invited to join the calendar. What comes first? Anything that's going to produce money. For me, listing appointments is my number 1 priority. Then it's addressing things that are under contract, and then managing seeing new people and showing them property. You won't see me sitting around worrying about an ad campaign. It's just not the best use of my time. I'm a salesman. Then ask yourself, what's your best use of time? What is actually bringing you revenue? Make sure you're at a company or in a place where they understand what kind of marketing and support system they have for you. It's important for you to know, number 1, your craft. Number 2, establish important relationships. And then number 3, deliver on those relationships. Step 2, structure the day. This is for the morning. So the first thing I do, green juice, coffee, look at my desktop. If you've seen my Instagram, you know my daily routine. If you're on your phone, you can't take it all in. And I like to do it on my desktop. I know that sounds like old school, but it's the truth. Then for me, I hit the treadmill for 30 to 60 minutes. For the first half, I put in my earbuds because they help me drown out outside noise. For you, this might look a little bit different, but find a way to drown out the noise so that you can actually focus. I'm looking on my phone and I'm checking what's set up for the day. Investing in that 24 hours, not yesterday, not tomorrow. I think we put too much emphasis on yesterday. Once I make a decision, I don't want to labor on it. And I tell my team to move on. Creating a daily to-do list is great. Also, making calls to the team. I'm doing check-ins. I'm checking in with my director of operations, Erica. I'm going to need help with ABC. I talked to her about how to prioritize her job. Then I'm calling Gina. By the way, I used to write it all down. And I believe in the art of the notepad and the to-do list. Writing it down leads to follow-up questions, extra bullet points under the context of that meeting. When you write it down, I promise it makes you more present. It goes out through your hand, in through your eyes, and into your brain. With this, you're getting a positive start and you're not going to stay as distracted. This structure is what helps me start my day off right. For the other half of my time on the treadmill, I shut it all off, period, the end. And I do 30 minutes just to myself because that way I can get out the nervous energy I'm looking forward to and I can focus. For the other half of my time on the treadmill, I shut it all off and I do my workout for 30 minutes, getting out all of that nervous energy so I can actually focus on my day. And finally, it's time to pull in the rest of my team and divide and conquer. And that leads us to step 3, divide and conquer the rest of the day. I mean, I couldn't get everything done if I wanted to, if I did not have a team. My schedule changes at least 10 times a day, and all of my team can speak to that. You need to set expectations because the day is ever changing. Getting text from Erica, are you running on time? I mean, if I head to a listing appointment and I have Gina heading to the other part of town, I have to know where everyone is from hour to hour. And so it's very easy for all of us. It really is like a game of chess. Next thing I want to talk about is owning it and hiring. Several of you may be going solo at the moment. As quickly as possible, get help. My first hire was actually a young guy by the name of Jason. I brought him in and it was super risky, but I was getting to the point where I couldn't actually handle my business on my own anymore. What he did, he set up inspections, he did showings for me, he did open houses, he wrote offers. You in your own business need to be interfacing with your clients. You need to be the person in front of them. So first hire, it should be an assistant. It should be a mini version of you with less experience. They take the more nominal tasks off your plate. The next step after assistant is maybe to hire some junior people on your team. Just get started, get the help, you guys. Now go to your workbooks because I really want you to take action on these pieces. There's going to be the questions. How are you visualizing your day? What's going to be your night before ritual? What is the best use of your time? And what is actually bringing you revenue? How are you structuring your day? And by the way, what's your treadmill ritual so you don't get caught in distractions? How can you divide and conquer? And how are you going to build up your team this year?
Oh, sorry. Wrong something.
By this,
Okay. I hope you're getting good value out of that. This is going to be a very short last piece, and it's all about how to dress up for success. What makes you, we all have some clothes that we feel comfortable, or we have some clothes that we feel more powerful. So this is something to think about. As us women, we have a bigger range that men just have usually suit, and that's how they feel good when they are in business. So I'm going to share the last bit.
point, what you might be thinking is,
Oh, no. Sorry, next one. It's the wrong one.
I want to leave you with something that not many women talk about, because inherently talking about women and what we wear and how we look is obviously a very sensitive topic. But if I'm here talking about confidence and setting yourself up for success, I do feel it's important to talk about the clothes we wear because it's a big part of our confidence. I mean, I actually ask myself 4 questions. I say, who, what, where, and how. Who am I meeting with? What am I meeting about? Where am I taking this meeting? And how do I want to be perceived? So let's talk about who. I mean, when you start to think about who you're meeting with, a lot of times you might not necessarily know your audience. And this goes back to really sorting out what we talked about in one of the first videos that we did together. And it's about thinking about who's going to be in the room and doing your diligence, right? So for me, I always want to know, am I meeting with someone conservative? Are they the type of people that are a little bit more buttoned up? In my opinion, you always want to sort of match the person that you're meeting with. So if your people tend to be more conservative, or maybe they're more casual, maybe their look is more elevated, you want to try to match your look to whatever they are doing. That's where we're really able to shine. And that's what I want all of us to understand. We have to bound together as women and support each other. And also, I really do think embracing our sexuality and understanding that, whether we're 25 or 55, is a big piece of that. I talk to so many of you online about understanding what it feels like to follow me at 55 years old and be inspired by what I've done with my body or how I'm dressing and how it's inspired you to walk in and start a new career. That makes me the most proud in what I do for a living than anything, whether it's the success that I've had in real estate or the success that I've had on the show, or even with the book. Connecting with you guys and seeing us as women come together and support us as independent entities, wearing what we want, going for it, being as successful as we possibly can, is a big piece of what I think makes us so much more superior to our male counterparts. I remember when I would walk on set the first season that I was shooting $1 Million Listing, everybody was so concerned about me being the first woman on the show and how I was going to be perceived. I was 100% confident with where I was and what I was wearing, but I was made to feel that it wasn't enough. And it took me a minute to sort that out. And now I'm sort of sitting on the other side of it. And I know that whether I'm wearing tennis shoes and a t-shirt with jeans, or I'm in that pencil skirt and the blouse and that power suit, no matter what, I'm going to feel great. And I want you guys to have that same experience, because none of this should ever get in the way of your success. And as women, we should always support each other in all those types of endeavors. So I hope that you guys understand the importance of this piece, because there isn't a workbook for this. This is really and truly about sort of embracing who you are, your feminine side, your sexy side, and just understanding what you feel good doing and how you're going to execute. This wouldn't be a masterclass on feminine leadership without talking about not only how to help ourselves feel more confident, but how also we can help women around us feel more confident. I hope that through hearing more about how I've navigated through my journey, that it's inspired you guys to feel confident and lead like a boss as you walk through yours.
Wow. What are your thoughts? I'm curious. What are you thinking? I actually found her, from, being a, typical American successful person, she showed a lot of authenticity and a lot of care, and she honestly shared some very important tips. And in that way, I can say she authentically wants to help, sincerely wants to help other women to step up into the best version of themselves. So that's enough for me. I am curious if you wanted to share anything from here.
Yeah, I would like to share.
Yes, Barbara.
I love the simplicity,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, I mean, this is a difficult topic. There is so much to consider, but yet she put it in such a way, like we were talking just between the friends, and
Mm-hmm.
she didn't say anything that was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
That it was focused.
Yes.
So I loved it.
Yes, you're very right. She was to the point and very simple. And sometimes we make things too complicated. We're talking here about confidence, and these are just the basic things. She shared it. She put it up in the table. It's not, it's not rocket science. Just a few things that we need to address. And I really love that too. Thank you, Barbara. I see Gina wanted to add.
Yeah, I agree with Barbara. And it reminds me that if you're a Mind Valley member at the moment, Elon Musk's mother has a free course that's available to anyone who's in Mind Valley. And she more or less says very, very similar things, but from the perspective of a much older lady.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, you're never too old to get out there and speak up and find your way in business too. I watched it not knowing anything about her, just to fill in, a few moments while I was waiting at an appointment. And even though, as Barbara said, there was nothing outrageous in it, I suppose, things that I hadn't thought of. It did remind me of the simplicity of even things like, matching your manners as well as your dress, or matching the way, if you get a written invitation, to respond in writing, and not take anything for granted in terms of some of the old-fashioned ideas that girl just goes to prove, are still very much in fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. So there's been in social media, there's been a lot of people who've been talking about what confidence is. I actually asked one of the coaches, well, what is your definition of confidence? Because I think many times we overcomplicate that. It's actually very simple.
For me, it's standing in my power, being able to stand in my power and accept that not everyone's going to like me.
Yeah.
Or want to deal with me, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Exactly. Not fighting the obvious, so to speak, because it's 7 billion people, and some people will say, oh, isn't she fantastic? But some people will say, different things. I don't like her type or something. And let's just be happy about this.
I like the expression that you used, being confident or feeling good in the room full of ego. I really like that.
That's right.
So
That's
the
right,
feminine energy and the male energy.
Exactly. We're just giving sometimes we're giving too much power to our ego, and it kind of wants to protect us, but actually destroys us. It doesn't help us to be authentic. Anyone else would like to share?
Yes, sometimes people are saying, he has an ego, he behaves like he knows everything. But that's, as Gina said, that is an impression which somebody is expressing in words. So I don't think so. And everybody has a different way of taking in some information and sharing with others. And the one which I said, oh, he's too confident or ego is playing up, is just assessment of that person who is talking about. Because as we know, everybody has a different way of understanding. And if you won't open your mouth, you wouldn't know. So I think it's very important if you communicate.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Elizabeth. Everyone is different, and everyone is here for a reason. And so sometimes we overpower. Some people are kind of very loud, and they will be speaking up their wisdom. Let them speak, be that way. There is another person who's more kind of thoughtful. They will think through, and they will be very careful. Let them be that way. It's just let's just and it's going back to ego. Let's just stop our ego and allow other person to say whatever. It might not be a weapon towards us. It's not about us, it's about them. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I can tell you only, I remember when my grandmother used to say, just watch the people. Everybody behaves, and you can read the body language, and you already know what to say in front of them. So everybody is a book, living book. So just keep in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And that leaves Christina. Christina, would you like to share?
Yeah, I found it really interesting. I don't know that I heard a lot of what I didn't already know, but I heard it in a way that was empowering and very much so relating. I noticed the nuances between real estate and what we do. So I could see that not everything that she was talking about would be reflective in what we're doing, because we're not real estate agents. And then when she was talking about, it was interesting when she was talking about, well, I deal with high-end clients. And so therefore, I want to align myself with travel and 4- and 5-star hotels and stuff like that. And it made me think, well, oh my God, I'm dealing with carers who scrape the bottom of the barrel all the time. Does that mean that I should look for camping places to stay? And I'm like, no, I'm going to actually take that and actually uplift where carers should be and not actually go. I want the 4-star hotels as well. And I want to show them that, not only can they upgrade themselves from what they think that they can't do, but that they can have the $1 million lifestyle if they want to outside of their caring role, but they have to learn how to choose themselves. So it's like the opposite of what she was saying in that particular instance, not everything what she was saying, but just in that part. And I thought, we have to be the examples which she made earlier of where we want our clients to go. And so we have to move forward in those areas, even if they don't believe it's possible.
Oh, exactly. I think that's a very important point, Christina, that you've made. Is and I think, you know, she's working as a real estate agent for a very high top end of buyers, and she that's her brand, because she needs, that's where, you know, where she serves. And if we serve someone else, you know, we will, you know, if we behave that way, we will be coming far, you know, like misunderstood, is mismatched. So, but you rightly pointed out that we want to be leaders, and we want to show the understanding and the commonality to our community, but maybe challenge them to go certain ways. And if they dream about you know, making you know, going to the 4-star hotels or whatever, or $1 million, maybe there is a way. Encourage them rather than limit them. As being a carer, do I need to be, you know, sitting under the carpet and being living very poorly? And the other thing is the definition. What is our ambition? What is the world? You know, for some, you know, it might be a very expensive house. For others, might be a very comfortable house where I can have a warm cup of tea with the loved ones. It's, again, it goes to 7 billions of propositions. Everyone has a different view on that. And if I take what you said also for myself, you know, in my transformation journey, I spent most of my life in a community which was men dominated. So I very much connected what she was saying, because I kind of understand that, you know, 30 plus years ago, when I stepped into that, I wanted to become like them so I can match. So there's a connection. And so I've learned that to step into, to be, you know, imagine we're talking about multi-million dollars projects, and if I come a little girl lost and confused and not being able to make a decision, I will be totally mismatched to the environment that I love being. You know, it's my passion. So I needed to make those changes.
And I think that also there needs to be a sprinkling of magic attached to it as well, in that, you know, this might be your everyday lifestyle, and it might be difficult and it might be hard, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't spend 12 months saving up for 1 week of luxury. And this is what that 1 week looks like. And you deserve that. And it's about valuing our own self-worth. That we, even though this is our life and this is our lot, we do deserve something better. And
Exactly.
even if we can only give it to ourselves a little bit, we should strive for that little bit.
Exactly. And I'll give you an example. You know, for many years, I wanted to go to onto study tour, and I always thought, this is like, I'm going to waste this money. And eventually I did go, and I didn't go just once, I went a few times. And I was in a group where they were, you know, Australian millionaires. And so we went to the places where we, you know, there were thousands of dollars of worth of meals. And I remember going in San Francisco or LA to the place where, you know, the group, they just wanted to have a cup of coffee in this very luxurious place, and cup of coffee cost $20 per person. And so, you know what I mean? I didn't have to pay because we had the budget, but I had to pay for it. And what it has done to me, that it again opened another level of dreams for me.
Yeah.
I didn't judge myself that they have multi-millions, I'm someone else, but I was in that company. I was living and doing the same things at that time.
Yeah. It changes you.
It changes you forever.
Yeah.
Traveling. Beside that, she said about the dressing, you can sort of put other ways. So you're dressing to be with certain people, and you can elevate yourself, as she said, as she feels comfortable. so you elevate them. I remember when I was working as recreation coordinator officer, I used to take people to places where they were opening and I said, oh, wow, we didn't know that. It was so nice. So that's how you have to inspire people to do something different than they do every day.
Exactly. And just going back to the other end, I work for the Department of Housing, and we were developing certain assets in the portfolio, and we realized, because we had people who did the survey, we've realized that these people have lived in this this community, have lived in this place for the last 30 years, and they have never, it's Sydney, it's big, they have never been in the other areas. They just, this was the end of their country. So we have organized the trip. We took the bus, we took the community, and we went to other suburbs. And they exactly say that. Wow! Because we were talking about renewal and rebuilding of this community, meaning the building structure, and how can we push the boundary if they are limited to what they've seen for 30 years.
That's so true. We don't know what we don't know until we open our minds and see something different.
Exactly.
That's right.
And otherwise we're scared, you know, and we protect that and we put barriers. I hope this inspires you for another 2 weeks. Let me just quickly talk about the next session. I believe Barbara is going to present her topic in 2 weeks' time. Barbara, could you kindly tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about?
I am going to talk about change, managing change, befriending change, and with big reference to the critical alignment model. So yeah, basically.
Beautiful. Looking forward to that. So, and I'm looking forward to see you all here and take part in our discussion and support Barbara as well. So with all this, good night and have a wonderful 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.